Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Owen here from MiniWarGaming with
Alex,
and today we are playing a 1750 Warhammer 40k Tyranids against Black Templars. And remember, go to miniwargaming.com/challenge to challenge a MiniWargamer, because I mean, if he wins, that's $50. So stay tuned for that.
We work here to play. MiniWarGaming speed, the cooler, Batrep.
So here we have Alex's 1750 Black Templars list. Starting off, he's got 4 tactical squads with a rocket launcher in each one and a sergeant. And the one squad has a couple neophytes with it. And then he's got his Emperor's Champion. He has 3 Demolishers, or the Vindicators. And they have bolters as well. Then he's got a unit of Terminators with a Marshal. Or there's Bodyguard for his Marshal there. He's got a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. And then they have 2 rockets with them. Then he's got another unit of Terminators who also have 2 Typhoon missile launchers. I believe that's what they're called. And then he's got 3 Land Speeders. They're 1 individual unit each, and they have 2 rockets on each. Then we've got the Tyranids that I'm bringing this time. And starting off, we've got 10 Gaunts, 20 Hormagaunts, a Turvagon, or Trigon Prime, more Gaunts, 4 Turvagons, the Doom, and another Trigon Prime. So, pretty straightforward. They all have regeneration, Toxin Sacs, Furious Charge, all the fun little upgrades. Anyway, it is night fighting, and the Black Templars had one to deploy first, so he deployed, and we're playing where you have to capture the objectives in the enemy's deployment. So there are 1 objective in his deployment, and the other one is in my deployment. For Warlord traits, he got the ability to reroll outflanking, and I got the ability to be a scoring unit. And I did not steal the initiative, so Black Templars, turn 1 begins. He starts off, he gets the ability to move all of his units a D3, or D6 rather, because he's fighting Psychers, because Black Templars and Psychers don't get along. They don't even have Librarians. They lost out a lot with the new Psychic trait, but it really doesn't matter. They're quite an army, and you'll see how this goes. So anyway, he shuffles around a little bit because he didn't really get to go as far as he wanted, so he just moves his armies, getting ready because he knows that I'm just going to be swarming across the board trying to get into him as fast as possible. And he's got to try and stop me from doing it. So here he is now adjusting and moving up his Vindicators, getting in range, because they drop that Strength 10 AP1 large blast, and though it is night fighting, so I'm going to get cover saves from it, it's still going to hurt. And now he's moving up all of his missile launchers, which are AP3 and blasts, if he chooses to weaken them. So either he can hit the Tervagons, who will not get saves, or he can hit the Gaunts and AoEs that won't get saves. But because of night fighting and because they're sitting in cover, they are actually going to be quite alright. And so they're fine. So Ruins are 4 up, plus 2 for being outside of 24. So they have 2 up cover saves right now. And the Tervagons just kind of laugh this off as he fires his rockets. That one does a hit on that Gaunt, and it does wound the Gaunt. Gaunt makes his save, and the Turvagon makes his save. Oh no, the Gaunt didn't make it. Turvagon did. Gaunt didn't make it. Now he fires another blast at the Gaunts themselves, which scatters far off and fails to hit them. Now he starts shooting small rockets from different units here. This one's starting from the first land speeder there. It doesn't scatter, gets a direct hit. And the second rocket that it fires also gets a direct hit. But he is shooting past my other unit and past 24, and it's night fighting, so... Oh no, this is the front unit right now. So he does a few wounds, which is definitely good. Every wound helps, but he's having cover saves. The fact that it's night fighting is really helping me out here. And basically I'm going from Gaunts just disappearing to Gaunts having cover saves, which is a big, big change. Not that I make them, it's just that it could happen. So he fires more rockets, they scatter around a little bit, gets a few more wounds. I think it's another 5 or 6. And those 3 on them, and then another rocket fires off. This one scatters, because he's just got... Every unit in his army has a missile launcher of some form, either or they have an AoE of some form. So he's got all of his rockets, 1 on each land speeder, 2 in each Terminator group, and another one in every Space Marine squad. And then he's got the Demolisher cannons that are the Strength 10 large blasts, so pretty much he was ready to fight the swarm, which I actually forgot what army I was playing again, and I thought he played Orcs for some reason. I had it all in my head that he played Orcs, and I didn't change my list because I had made my list thinking I was playing Orcs, which I figured my guys would beat Orcs because Turvagons are really good, and we'll see how they do against Black Templars. So we'll see how it goes. And now he's firing, once again, he's just firing rocket after rocket out of his little bastion on that hilltop. Not really a bastion, but his little hilltop. Except for the other land speeders that they decide that they're going to go flat out and just kind of fly around the wall there. And so Tyranids turn 1 begins after taking that barrage. Now the Tervagons, I did roll for the psychic powers that they get. All of them have smite except for the one who's my HQ, who got iron arm, or iron flesh, or iron arm. Did plus D3 strength and toughness. And so he's plus 2 strength and toughness for this first round. Now we start spawning gaunts. The first one, he does get plugged, but he gets 14 termagants, which is a big plus. The next one, he also gets plugged, but he gets 16 termagants. The next Tervagon, he also gets plugged and only gets 7, which is a big... That one sucks, but oh well. The next Tervagon, he also gets plugged, but he gets another 13 termagants. And that's all of my Tervagons. So no more spawning any more gaunts, but we did get quite a few. 13, 16, 7, and then 14. So we'll see how that goes. Basically, the gaunts spawn. They can spawn within 6 inches, and then they can move and act normally from there. So they spawn 6, and then they all rushed up 6, because I want them to try and assault those tanks, because right now they have Furious Charge, because the Tervagon does, and they started within 6 of it. So they're going to take off. These ones move into the cover, though, because I don't think they're going to make it. There are only 7 of them after all. And the other guys are only 7 or 8 inches away at this point. But you got to get everybody up there. Got to get as close as I can. The Tervagon and the Doom, they start moving up, along with the Hormagaunts who are hanging out behind them. So the Hormagaunts dive up behind the Doom, because these guys all have Toxin Sacs and Adrenal Glands as well, for a few rerolls to wound, or at least 4s to wound. Or except for on the charge, I guess they would be rerolls to wound because we'd have equal strength as their toughness. But anyway, these ones, they climb off of the difficult terrain. We agreed that moving on top of the rocks is not difficult, but getting up and down, you do have to do it difficult. And I kind of mixed up who was who, but I rolled a 6 anyway, so everyone was going the same speed. These guys, they just kind of spread out, making way because the other Tervagons are going to have to come through, so the Gaunts just move up. And at this point, it's really just a big tide of Termagants. They're everywhere. He's going to hit these with blasts, and I'm not going to have any saves. In hindsight, I really regret not bringing a Venom Thrope. I should have done that, but I didn't even think about it until I was already on the table, because against any army, they would really work. These Gaunts, they move up. They're going to hold the objective, while the Tervagons and Gaunts all swarm up the board, because why not? We got to leave somebody behind, and they're just 10 of them. Leave them back there, and they're back there already. The shooting phase begins. I decide to run. The Hormagaunts have bounding leaps, so they get to roll 3 dice and pick the highest. And so they sprint up another 6 inches, because that's what you're going to get. And the other Hormagaunts on the far side, they actually roll a 6 as well. So they take off running 6 inches up. And basically everyone in my army just getting as close as possible. I don't have really any shooting. The longest range gun in my army is 12 inches, I believe. And so turn 1 is really just advance as close as we can, except for that those Gaunts in the front line are all going to be charging. So let's charge. They need an 8, and they don't make it. Okay, that's fine. We've got another squad. These ones need a 7, and they don't make it. And the last group, they need an 8 coming out of difficult terrain, and they actually do make it. So those 7 guys, who I didn't really expect anything from, make the charge, because they got, you roll 3 dice because they're moving through difficult, and then remove the highest, so 8 inches. They made 8 inches. Which was great. And now their initiative step work happens, so they move 3 inches to try and get into base, and they all move up. 2 attacks each. They have Adrenal Glands, so they will be able to glance this tank on a 6, and they actually get 2, which I really wanted 3. I really wanted to kill that tank, but they put it down to 1 hull point. So here we are at the end of turn 1. The rockets have fired in, killed a couple Gaunts, but there's so many of them coming now. But we don't have the cover save, so stay tuned for part 2 and see if the Black Templars can stop the swarm.